Brian Trellon, boys. Let's get through this quick. I don't know why. I'm just like way more tired than normal today. Anyway, so we started the day off. Let's just kind of get it to here. Let's go here. So we started the day off, as we were saying earlier. What we were looking for was a start slightly above here, really just anywhere above the day. So we run into this issue here where we start here, and then it's so you could either push it immediately down to hit support, and then it's just going to push back up and wreck your position, or just buy it up. So it made sense to take a somewhat smaller position here, and then I ended up getting a put on Apple, I think, at 164.10. So I entered in here. We can kind of see what it did on the short term. So I got in like right here, something like that. Anyway, so we can see that it's just pushing down, pushing down, pushing down. So we're pushing on post market. I don't really care about post. I don't care about pre. Let's kind of just go over what I want to see, and then we can look at some of the other things. We can just kind of get that out of the way. So anyway, we've seen that we've pretty much taken this range right here. We have no foundation really for this, so we kind of have to keep pushing up. Otherwise, this is pretty sketchy. So long story short, I want to see that above this, but what makes it a couple things that make this a little sketchy and a little bit uncertain from here is the VIX, but also this. So we have the week time frame up here, and we're pushing up at the beginning of the week. So for me, this seems like a really odd target, but we could hit here tomorrow. It seems like a really odd target to try to hold because it's the week. So for me to really see this getting support, I'd have to see it end above. So maybe we could have something and then wedging above. So if we could see something, it's probably like 164.20 is where it's going to be. But something around 164. Oh no, it might not be that much. So 16, anything above 164.24 or 164.23 should be fine to try to push up, and then we'll see what happens with that. It's a great position though if it is able to start above here from the day time frame. We'll see if it's able to hold the week. I definitely think it's going to have a decent amount of selling just from week time frame traders, but we'll see what happens with that. So that's kind of one concern. We'll have the CPI and inflation data come out tomorrow. I think the German one comes out in a couple. I don't remember when it is. I can't remember when Virex said, but it comes out sometime when I'm asleep, and then we'll have the U.S. one come out. So that's something that reason why we might see a little bit of divergence here, and also now that we've seen Apple and we've kind of got an idea of what it's done for the day, and we can see that it's really just continued. We've regained what we thought for today. We can look at some of the other things. So let's get rid of this. We've already made it to the top, and we know what we want to see. And otherwise, it should just push down tomorrow. So let's go to the VIX and let's see what's happened here. For some reason, which was really weird, but I'm not surprised that it pushed up, but it's really weird because we're seeing some discrepancies. So the VIX actually started all the way up here, so it's really surprising that the VIX started up, and from where it ended, it's almost up 5% from yesterday. Yet the market pushed up pretty much most of the market pushed up. So this is one thing also with Apple and possibly the CPI numbers coming out tomorrow that makes me think we could be a little bit bearish. Partially why I opened my position. I don't really have regrets. If it opens, and I can just reverse it. I mean, slightly in the money, so it's not really a big deal. I think they're only up like 15, 18% or something towards the end of the day, but it's not really a big deal because the point of it's to take it at the inflection point, right? So I'm just a little tired, so I'm sorry about some of this other stuff. So we have another possible, I think it's 5% up, something like that. Another possible, just about 5% up that gets us there. So a couple interesting things would be when we look at this, we see that the week right here at the VIX is over here at 25, even. So if that's our target, one thing I saw that was interesting on the day time frame is if we do actually hit 25, we do have possibly, if we want to look at this and let's look at it this sense, just really basic, but somewhere down there, we can say here, let's just say up to here. And so if this maybe is like a right shoulder and we do something here, maybe it could extend upwards. That would be somewhat interesting here in a sense, because if we do have a right shoulder that does actually come up to 25, the high that we had over here was 86, and that would give us something slightly higher. So that would be pretty interesting to see if that kind of validates it. And I wonder if that would actually give it a little bit more strength in trying to push these weak hulls, because these weak hulls have been fairly weak. Now, this isn't the best place to start. We want to start relatively close to it, and this isn't the best place to start, which is in between them both. But I don't think it was really that. Most of this was this getting wrecked. Most of it was the day, which is also a little bit weird in itself too as well. But yeah, it kind of is what it is there. So anyway, we have the VIX here, which is going to be interesting. I think this could be an easy to see bearish movement. We'll see what happens tomorrow. I think it's possible. This opens at 310, so I don't know if it's possible to really start down. We'll have to see what happens. But I think the bearish movement seems more likely than the bullish movement. But I'd still be looking for Apple to try to start above 163.20, 163.24 in this area. If it could start up here, I think that would be. I don't really think that makes much of a difference anyway, to be honest, if it starts up there, because the week time frame doesn't care and doesn't start until next week. I think what I'm hoping that we don't have, because it's just another thing where it's like just take a small position instead of like a larger one. Hopefully we don't start here and then just push up. The same kind of thing as today. I'm not a huge fan of this. I like when a lot more when it just comes down to support, and then it usually just turns around and just shoots the heck up. So it's a lot easier to see. You're able to get in a bigger position. And able to like make more and be more certain about the move. So seems like we have a lot more to go down, but it's kind of in between. And like I was saying before, we have that discrepancy with the VIX. So if we take a look at the Nasdaq, we can see we have a little bit more room to go up. People that might be trading on the Nasdaq futures, let me see. So we have the new day on the futures. So this actually doesn't look too bad on the futures. It's interesting. I guess 6 o'clock is when we have the switch over. So this actually doesn't look too bad on the futures themselves for where it is. So but we do have these, so we'll see what happens with it. So we'll see. I don't usually look at the futures. I just wanted to take a look at this. I was somewhat interested to see what it looked like because I remember seeing this being somewhere around here, but there's too much of discrepancy based on these. So like these two, one's under, one's above. I usually don't look at them. I'm not going to. Let's go to Bitcoin real quick. Some of the things that I'd be a little bit concerned about. So some things that most of this moves about with the market. And the point to this is, what are we looking for? Wait, what? Oh, that's why. Okay, 1 second. Let's go here. Object tree. Okay. So, as always, we'll just reiterate this. This is where the day hit. This is where the 4 hour hit. And the other line is where the week hit. I don't remember what the third line down is, but it really doesn't matter, to be honest, right now. But you can see this is where the week hit, and they're respectively with the day and the 4. They've held pretty well. We can see it's all pretty good areas for what it is. So if I was to expect any kind of short-term push down, I don't know if this really matters, because if we do get some bullish news or something good, a nice open tomorrow on the stock market, this might not matter. But in the short term, for about 8 o'clock, what I'd be looking for is if we end under 22,300, somewhere around 22,200, maybe to 22,300. If we do end somewhere like 22,000 or 20,100, maybe 22,000, we do end pretty far away from this. And I do think it just looks pretty decent to try to, push back up, even with the wick, and try to test up, at this area again. I would be weary about it trying to pass through before the market opens. It is a strong area. Even with the market open, it has been struggling quite a bit. Even with the market, I think, performing fairly well. Not amazingly, but fairly well. I think there's been a little hesitancy, which we've kind of been able to see on it. So I like the fact that it seems like there's a little bit of hesitancy and a little bit of weird buying here, because that makes me feel a little bit better with my assessment that it might just be kind of a wait period for some people, which makes sense, because even if we aren't looking at Apple, something that just like popped up here, we wanted to see here, preferably is still fine for a smaller position, but we want to see here for big. Not a lot of leg room here if it turns around. Nasdaq, we start under, gap here, gap, no close, didn't close the. First of all, we never pushed down here. Never closed this gap, never closed this gap. On the SPY, similar thing, start under, and here we didn't push here. Don't even close the gap, don't even close the gap. So we have two gaps we haven't closed. So I think it's one hell of a drop if we do fall, if we do turn around. And that's what's a little worrisome for me. But like I said before, a lot of it comes with Apple just kind of being at the top without any kind of legs in this whole 4% range or whatnot. And combined with the VIX starting in a pretty decent place, that could be maybe showing like an aggressive kind of right shoulder that would push into more than just like it's going to break the trend and of a head and shoulders kind of in a sense. Or in the sense where you'd have like a lower right shoulder that would extend down. So, we looked at with the week and all the other stuff, how this is weak, and maybe we could push up through this and, maybe make a difference. So if for some reason the VIX can get back above the week and start in any of these two places, especially above the week, I think that's great. Like I said before, our biggest issue here was we ended here, but we started all the way up here. Then we pushed into the days. Then we came down here. Then we started in between. So if we could start above this, I think it looks really good. So that's something that could be shaping up possibly from the VIX too. It's something to look at. But the key areas that we're looking for are still, to keep it simple, like if we end the week, if we get to 25, there's a chance, and there's much more of a chance. Well, the opportunity already exists because we're right here. If they can push us up here and then possibly push into here, then there's a new bull target for the rest of the week. So that'll be a little interesting to see. But if stuff cascades, it shouldn't have too much of an issue. But we don't necessarily want it to just shoot all the way up. That's kind of one of those things. So, excuse me. Let me see. So we've been over Bitcoin. We don't want to see Bitcoin fall down. One thing I didn't like Bitcoin that I said earlier, I don't like the fact that we didn't come back down to test here, which also makes me think this is fairly weak. We have this strong line here. If we can have a decent market push up and we can get like a day to start over, maybe something around here, I do think we could possibly capture this area. But as I said before, I think this area right here is a lot stronger. We just have a convergence of the strong trend line coming down for like the last like year or something, and we have this. So if it did something and broke through here, I think that'd be really great. Right now, I think it's a little bit too soon for it. On the USD WTI, I'm not a huge fan of it. I think this was really the entry point, like right at the line or a little bit before. Usually it's a little bit easier to do it that way. I don't like this. As I said before, if it comes above, there's not really much that can be done. You know, you just got to take the position around there. But I don't have a lot of faith in it. The same reason as I said before, we have this here, we have this here. We have the month, we got the week, we got all bunch of stuff under it. And because this stuff's under it, it might not come back down to it. But it also just seems kind of weird that it wouldn't, because a lot of this stuff just seems pretty attractive and pretty good. So it's just a little weird it didn't fall down to it. And we do have everything that we just came from, which is a little odd. So I think we pretty much went over everything. I mean, I guess Ethereum fell through, so we'll see what happens. I still think right here is a fairly strong spot. Here we won't hit it on the week until, well, we won't hit it actually. I don't know if it's possible even to hit it technically on the week. On the day, it can be hit. Yeah, so it can't be hit on a week time frame. But on the day, if it pushes down, yesterday would have been a little bit better. But this is still a fairly strong area around here. We're kind of exiting what I think is generally the strongest area here. But we'll really have to kind of see what happens with it. So I would like this, even if we just kind of look at it from this sense, just kind of like a right to a left, like head being there. Anything here looks pretty nice in my opinion. So I think this still looks pretty good, especially how much is coming up. Now, depending on if we have Bitcoin being pretty bearish and the rest of the market being pretty bearish, I could just pull Bitcoin down quite a bit and then pull Ethereum down. That would be also an issue as well. But beside that, I mean, I think it's kind of fine with where it is. We have left, one left, two left, head, one right, two right. The two right is pretty much challenging all the way on the left. I'm too lazy to see if it's higher up. But we can see how it's kind of invalidated what it might have been trying to do right here, keeping this lower than this top right here and then pushing it down. So it still has a chance, but obviously I really think Bitcoin is the main determinant for that. And I think that's pretty much it. I don't think there's a lot else. I'm just really tired. I had like shrimp and pasta. I'm not sure if the shrimp messed my stomach up or it's the creatine loading or what it is, but my stomach's a little upset. But I think it's just because I'm tired as heck. I was streaming for like 7 hours earlier, so I think it's just kind of getting to me a little bit. That with the exercise, I think I just need to take a rest. Another thing we could look at that's kind of interesting that I like. We started under technically, so this is the first time we've really not started in the best spot, but it's not horrible. So I'd like to see another day on this, but we can see from here pretty much fall down. Boom, hit up. Okay, push into here. Boom, boom. Finally make it to the top. So we started under it, so we'll see. Any downwards pressure, I think this will push back down. So it'll be interesting to see what happens here. I'd be a little bit cautious. Obviously, from here to here is our range, and or from here to here is our range, and we pretty much already cleared the range. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. As I said before, I mean, we could push up a little bit more than fall down. We could have like a head and shoulders there. If we look at a bigger time frame, we could probably try to see something here, assuming left shoulder head, and then that could bring us down to the 12-hour. Or here all the way down to the day at like 5, which I could also see as well, but for sure we'd have to see it drop under the day 500, which is currently at 7.977. Yeah, 7.977. You know, we pulled back a little bit with the United States, the USD, the JPY. Entry points are down here. I don't know where the 12 hours are anymore. They're still pretty in okay spots. I don't like a lot of this, but we'll see what happens with it. Um, Depending. I think a lot of this is the market slowly pushing up and really hitting the dollar with that reversal that we had last week. Anything else? Trying to think of anything else that's kind of big or important that I can think of. Most of these other ones will just trade off of the indices or Apple. So I think that's just the easiest way to approach this. If I see anything, I'll look at it, but I think that's kind of the best way to go at this. And let me see. I guess there's Luna. This was like pretty tragic, but not super surprising. But it was one of those things that you just couldn't see. And it's like the last thing I said in the recent idea that I put out. It's one of those things you just really couldn't see unless you were in there. We had that Bitcoin thing happen the other day, and then it kind of just pushed things down, and this really never recovered from it. If you see it on a lower time frame and you're looking at it, it's a little bit easier to understand. We try to do something, fall through, find support. We break up around here. We should be able to see on the 5 minute some other stuff also, and it just breaking down. We have the 5 minute. We'll be able to see this 5 minute 200 kind of pushing down on us. It also pushed us down right here at 12 o'clock on September 11th. We'll be able to see in a second. So these are the only averages around here. So it just kind of is what it is. So we can see falls under. Jeez, one sec. Okay. So we'll do this for a second so we can see falls under, a little bit of resistance, boom, comes up, boom, boom. Then we come back up here. This is, remember, where the 500 is on the 30, the only other average that was really close to us. We end up pushing down. We have this right here. You can see the 5 minute. Let me get rid of this. You can see the line right here, pushes us back under, boom, boom, pushes us under here again, you know. So, and then it just has too much resistance on it. So it just kind of is what it is. And then like a really aggressive push down. So we'll see what happens for it. I just kind of want to throw this one in there because this was what I was talking about the other day in that one video idea. So I just kind of want to give a little bit of an update. I guess we can try to look. I don't know if there's any support for days. It's a little bit worrisome just because it shot up so much. We did have a bounce, it looks like, on the 2 hour. These things can be a little bit dangerous, though, especially with where everything is. I think also in consideration because if you try to buy it on the 1, even though this is like arguably really ugly because we don't come down and then we pretty much build up resistance above it. So you can kind of anticipate that you're going to fail here. Even if we did bounce in a place like this, we pretty much have to end, like we have to bounce, we have to end over, and then we pretty much have to more or less break right through this area. So that makes it pretty tough. Even if it did, I mean, maybe it did try to bounce here. I don't remember in that specific moment. I wasn't looking. I don't even know if I was awake. Yeah, it looks like 4 in the morning, so I wasn't even awake. So, but we can see it tries to bounce, tries to fight in these other positions. Boom, under, fails under, doesn't push up, but it fails under and then drops down again. So we can kind of see that where we are right now. It looks like we finally had a bounce on the 2. Looks pretty sketchy. I doubt we'll bounce on this. It's possible. But with what it is, I'd be more cautious so than it bouncing on the 2 hour here, which is at 3.8941. And then everything else is like super far down. The 4 hours pretty much that we did this kind of nice, beautiful thing. Resistance, pop up, boom, beautiful, beautiful. So these could be some of the better places really for it. But we'll just have to see. So I'm just gonna put this out and we'll see what happens tomorrow with everything. Um, I think we'll just put it out like that and I'll just leave it on Apple. All right, take care, y'all. Good luck. Hope you guys are healthy and all that kind of stuff. Hopefully I feel a little bit better later. I'm not sure what that is. And I'll see you guys tomorrow at 9:15. I stream 9:15 every day, every market day, and 30 to 40 minutes before the week change for crypto on Sundays. So take care, y'all. Peace.